The Persona Awards is a tournament ran by YouTuber JamesZ2Cool, where users vote for their favorite Persona characters from Persona 1 to 5. It includes every single main character as well as some side characters, and so the public decides who advances in bracket by voting for their favorite one. I thought I would do the bracket on my own, not only because it's fun, but because my opinion is of course factual, and therefore I have a duty to spread knowledge to the viewers. Keep in mind that I haven't played Persona 1 or 2, so I can't really give my opinions on those characters, and I will let you know if I say spoilers at any point beforehand, so you can still watch safely. So, here we go. And now for the first match, Yu versus Sojiro. Gosh, this one, they throw the hardest one already right off the bat. So Yu, being the Persona 4 protag, he doesn't talk, okay, but he is my favorite protag. Like, he has this intrinsic personality that you can just kind of gather from his responses, you know? And not only that, but in Persona 4 Ultimax, the animation, he's so cool. He carries himself so well. He's such a Chad. He's funny. I really like him, and the way he just interacts with Dojima, Nanako, the squad. He's just a really good character. Even though he doesn't talk. I know, it's irrational. It doesn't make much sense, but I like him a lot. Now for Sojiro, oh, Father Sojiro, man. He is the guardian. Not only that, but he literally is your father, right? Futaba's father as well. I love the interactions he has with her. How he cares for her. That whole thing with Wakaba is amazing. And then, not only that, but then he takes care of Joker as well. And that whole transition from where he starts treating Joker like shit and then ends up caring for him so much in the end is amazing. I love it so much. And he literally is your father. And so, between the two, man, rationally, logically, I should pick Sojiro, but my heart tells me Yu. I really like Yu, and so I wish I could tell you rationally why, but I can't. I'm going with Yu because I like him. I think he's neat. I think he's a cool guy, and because this list is so subjective and personal, I don't know, man, I'm gonna have to go with Yu. He advances for me in this round. Next, we got Misawa and Akinori. I don't know who Misawa is. Akinori wins. Next, we got Iwai and Maki. I don't know who Maki is. Iwai wins. Now we got Kawakami and Lavenza. Okay, I can do this one. So, Kawakami, school teacher. My first impression of Kawakami in the game was kind of just because her whole thing with being a maid was just so weird. And the way she interacts with Joker, yeah, like, I think what she's trying to do is nice, like, with being a teacher and everything, but I don't know, just executed super weirdly. Lavenza, on the other hand, is super sick. I think she's so cool with the way she's the two twins combined. And although we don't really get to kind of know her very well since she comes in the later half of the game, she's so cool in Persona 5 Royal, you know, where we get to see her a little bit more. And the thing is, these two characters aren't very main characters. I don't have much emotion with either of them, but I think of the two, Lavenza's cooler, so I'm gonna have to go with Lavenza. Next, we have Maruki and Rise. Maruki being the newest addition to Persona 5 Royal, I think he's super interesting, right? Him being basically the Thanos of the Persona universe, where he solves this problem in a really unorthodox way that is very questionable. And so, I don't know, man, like, he's really cool, he's really in-depth, and he's like a fantastic character. But my biggest thing with him is that I kind of just don't care about him as much, you know? Like, yeah, you kind of get to know him through his confidant and you get to know his backstory and stuff. But at the same time, I feel like he's just kind of disconnected from Joker's main squad. I don't really feel like an emotional connection with him in the sense that, like, yeah, his character's cool, but it doesn't really resonate with me that much. Even though what he's saying is really interesting. Like, again, what he said, it makes sense. It's interesting. It's really controversial, but really interesting to talk about from both sides. It just doesn't vibe with me as much, him as a character. Rise, on the other hand, I love Rise. She is literally the bundle of joy in Persona 4. She is so upbeat, energetic, optimistic all the time. I think she has one of the best confidants in the game because the way she just struggles with that inner turmoil of kind of wanting to be famous but also not, and like dealing with everything that goes around with it is just so in-depth, feels so real. And like, because Rise is always this character that's super like upbeat and like alpha in her own way, like seeing this kind of vulnerable side of her really kind of resonated with me. And having her be on the team, being one of the best navs, bro, oh my gosh, the buffs she gives me in game are ridiculous. And so I think I'm gonna have to go with Rise for this one. Maruki, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic character, but at the same time, Rise just feels that much more personal to me, and therefore I'm gonna have to go with her. Joker versus Elizabeth. Joker, the Persona 5 protag, cool as hell, doesn't have much of a personality either because he doesn't talk much. He is Joker from Persona 5. First, he just doesn't vibe as well with me as you does, right? He doesn't talk. Yeah, let's go Joker. Now, Elizabeth. I didn't like Elizabeth at all. She is my least favorite attendant, right? And so I think that she's just so strange. Every time I had the confidant thing with her, it would just be so weird to watch. Her voice made me uncomfortable. And then she was just not interesting. She was really boring. That whole trope where she just doesn't know anything about the world is just so boring and dry to me that I really didn't enjoy any time I talked to her. And so I think I'm gonna have to go with Big J for this one. Now, Haru versus Naoki. Haru being best girl in Persona 5, Naoki being some shitter who I don't care about. Haru wins. Let's move on. Briss versus Hikari. I probably butchered the fuck out of those names, but it's okay. Briss wins for me just because I think she's in Persona 4 Ultimax. I've never seen Hikari before. I actually don't know what Briss is like either, so let's just go with Briss. Round 2. Yu versus Akinori. Akinori is one of the greatest confidants in P3. He is very morbid, very real. It makes you sad at the end of it, right? Because you just get to know this man who is just dying. He constantly mentions how he's in pain, and every time you talk to him, he just makes you feel that much better, gives him a reason to keep going, which is really uplifting for you. And then hearing his story about the pink alligator is also just kind of tragic in its own right. Oh man, no, he's a great confidant. Yu, Alpha, Beast, Persona 4 protag. Yu wins. Next we got Iwai and Lavenza. Oh, this one's a little tougher, okay? Because both of these are P5 confidants. Iwai being really, really cool in his own edgy way. His confidant is interesting, right? Because it revolves around his son and him being in the Yakuza. But at the same time, it's just so weird because for Iwai to get points with him or to advance his confidant, you got to be mean to him. You literally shit on him. You pick the meanest options every time in dialogue. And so it just doesn't feel as real, you know? Like, he's cool. I think he's so sick. But I don't feel like we're homies, you know? I don't feel that attached to him. Now, Lavenza. I kind of talked about Lavenza earlier. Same kind of reasoning. I think I'm gonna have to go with Iwai with this one, just because Iwai is at least very interesting. You know, he's cool. I like talking to him. When I talk to Lavenza, it's not as interesting. Like, every scene with her is usually super serious, and so you never kind of get to know her story or like who she is, her personality. Meanwhile, with Iwai, you kind of get to know about his son, his past, how he kind of thinks, his values, and so Iwai to me feels like a more whole character to me, and so I'm gonna have to go with him. Now we got Rise versus Joker. I'm gonna have to go with Rise for this one, just because again she's like this whole character, has a great confidant. I like her personality. Meanwhile, Joker, yeah, you kind of control him for the whole game, you get to know him, but at the same time, doesn't really have this shining personality or even a personality at all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Rise. Haru versus Briss. Haru sweeps the floor once more. Let's move on. Semi-finals, Yu versus Iwai. See, the thing is, until I find a good, solid character that I kind of like and relate to, I'm gonna keep going with Yu. Like, Iwai is cool, but at the same time, it's just, I don't really relate to him. I don't think his story is super interesting. I don't know, man. Yu, to me, the whole thing he just has with Nanako and Dojima and the way he carries the squad. No, definitely Yu. Let's just, we don't even gotta talk about this one. Go Yu. Rise Kujikawa versus Haru Okumura. Okay, now let me talk about Haru. I haven't talked, like, literally there was no point before, but basically, okay. Haru. I really adore Haru as a person. She's so kind, she's so empathetic. I really like how sweet she is. I think that to me is the most, she has the best characteristics of any character, right? She is really nice, and I like that. However, her confidant, her story isn't anything crazy, and because she goes so late into the game, I don't really feel as close to her as a lot of characters. And while I adore her, I think Rise is the better character. Her confidant's better, and she just feels like a homie more than Haru does. And so I'm gonna have to go with Rise. Now, for the grand finals, Yu versus Rise. I think Yu probably made it farther than he should have.
But in this, he goes down. I'm gonna have to go with Rise because finally, this character for me has such a great, again, I sound like a broken record, but great personality, great story, feels close to the squad. I love him, but compared to Rise, he just doesn't have as much going for him. So, yeah, for this bracket, Rise is the ultimate winner. Let me know if you guys agree, disagree, I'm pretty sure you will, with my thoughts. And I will see you next time where I go on to the second bracket. See you guys later.